If you have a business, would you say that building community is right now an intentional part of your business? Do you devote time to and have a strategy around cultivating community? I would say that community is probably the number one thing that Powerhouse Women is known for. And today we're going to talk about why every single business or big idea should absolutely have a community building strategy and why, if you don't, you risk falling behind. I am so excited to dive into this topic today, and a little context for you. I was recently asked by a friend of mine who has a mastermind to come and do a training on building organic community. And at first when he asked, I was a little confused, like, that's not really what I've ever taught on before. I don't think I've ever sat down and really gone through like, okay, if I were to teach this to someone else, what would that sound like? And isn't it funny how a lot of times things that are actually our own, strength or zone of genius, if you will, are almost so second nature that it doesn't seem obvious to us. But when I stepped back and looked, really, if I reflect on just the growth of Powerhouse Women as a business, as a brand, at the core has been this amazing community, all of you. And there have been things that when I look back and if I actually sit down and think through how this community came together, there were actually some concrete things that I could teach. And so I put together this training. It was so much fun. And I realized a couple of things in preparing the training that I definitely wanted to pass along to all of you. Because as we look ahead at the next year, crazy that we're even talking about 2021. I know a lot of people are excited for 2021, can't wait for it to get here. But the truth is, I think we're in for some more difficult times, just uncertainty, not knowing exactly what the climate for our businesses is going to look like. And when it comes down to it, the two things that I believe all businesses, all business owners are going to need to thrive in this next year or year and a half of business are mentorship, which I talk about all the time, someone to help you strategize, pivot, reimagine where necessary. And then I think you're going to need community. And, when I talk about community, I mean, of course, the community that you surround yourself with, the people who support you. But then you probably are building a business that could, maybe it does already, but if not, you could create this intentional community for your customers, for the people who are currently part of your audience that absolutely helps your business grow exponentially, especially for those of you who have a smaller audience. So that's why I really wanted to dive deep into this topic of building an organic community. And when I say organic, I mean, without paid ads. So Powerhouse Women has grown into a global community. We had 1,000 women tune in to our last virtual event. We have people all over the world tune into the podcast, which is crazy to say. And we haven't, up to this point, spent any money on advertising. It's all been organic growth. But I'm going to break this topic into two different podcasts. So you'll get part one this week. Part two will come next week. And I want to break it down so that we can really go deep into this topic. I think it's so important to understand. And I think any business, no matter what kind of business you have, no matter what kind of big idea or passion project you have, I think every single business can incorporate community. And I actually think that it's a game changer. So today I'm going to share the why behind building community, why it's essential to growing your business, how it can be a game changer, especially if you have a small audience and especially when you're in a season of uncertainty like we are right now. And then next week, I'm going to break down more of the tangible. Here are the things, the very simple shifts that you can make, things you can implement in your own business in order to take this topic and really put it to work in whatever it is that you're growing, whatever big idea you're currently working on. So, like I said, this week I wanted to talk about why community? Because the truth is, I think that, you can be intentional about this, or it can be an afterthought. And too often, I see that it's more of an afterthought in businesses. And by making these simple shifts in your mindset, how you view community within your own business, I think these simple shifts can honestly open up so much potential for growth and for a bigger impact. So before we even get to the reasons why, so today I'm going to give you the 5 reasons why building community in an intentional way is essential. I actually want to preface it by saying, when I talk about community, it's not the same as saying the word audience. So if we're going to really get the most out of this conversation, we can't confuse the two. When I talk about building a community, I'm not talking about the same thing as building an audience. And your goal isn't to take an audience that you currently have and turn it into a community. In fact, it's more of a perception shift. So how you are looking at the people that you are attracting to your business, both your customers, your potential customers, really what we would say as an audience, it's almost the same thing. It's just a different way of viewing those people that you're attracting into your world. And there's a lot of focus now on building your audience, building your email list, building your social media following, and all of those things are valid. I focus on all of those things within my own business, but there's a difference in looking at this community of people as an audience versus a community. And I'm going to tell you how I see the two as different. So when I think about an audience, I think about, even if we just go back to the mental picture of what the word audience brings up, I think of someone standing on a stage and then the audience are sitting in the seats and they're focused their attention on the person or, the people on stage. So it's more of a conversation where you're cultivating this individual relationship with the people who are watching you, with the people who are learning from you. And this isn't a bad thing, but it can, number one, be exhausting if all of the value has to come from you. And I think you miss the opportunity to provide additional value that doesn't have to take any time or energy away from you and your bandwidth. So a community, on the other hand, is where not only are you creating a relationship and creating engagement with these people, your customers and potential customers, but you're also intentionally creating ways for your customers or potential customers to connect with each other. So that's the main difference I really want you to see and hear, kind of have that at the forefront of your mind as we talk about these 5 reasons why community should absolutely be a part of your business or your big idea. And I want you over the next week, before we get to part 2 next week, I want you to start to notice, where are there opportunities for community within your current business model? Okay, so I promised you we would go over the 5 reasons why community is an essential part of a business, especially in today's world. And I firmly believe that the businesses that do this well, we're going to see them thrive in 2021. And the businesses that don't, I think they run the risk of, I don't want to say not thriving, that sounds really harsh, but I think they might struggle more. I think community is such a vital component of almost any business that you're building. So it's important to understand why before we go into the how, because if you don't understand why this can be such a radical shift for your business, easy to fall prey to only focusing on the things that need your immediate attention in business versus the things that, yes, they might take a little intentionality. They might take some, additional time where you don't see the return on investment of that time immediately. But I do believe this is the long game. I believe that focusing on building community is the thing that, if you do it well and you do it consistently, makes or breaks the long-term success of your business or your passion project. So let's talk about the first one, the first reason why I think community is essential to any business. And if we think about what the world has been through in this last year, it is especially true today that one of the deepest needs that we have as human beings is to belong. We want to belong. And creating community, when we talk about the ways that you can actually create this community and what you can build it around, it's that sense of belonging. So one of the reasons why community should absolutely be a part of your business model, if you, as a business, are fulfilling this basic human need that I believe humans need for survival. Like it's air, water, community, food. Like we need a few essential things, and I think community is absolutely one of them. So if you as a business are providing that, it makes you that much more valuable to the people that you serve or that you could potentially serve. So number one is one of the deepest needs that we have as human beings is to belong. The second one, and this one is really critical, especially if you do have a smaller audience, is building community. So this group of people who not only have a relationship with you, they have a relationship to other people who are part of your audience, part of your network, it creates leverage. So it's like built-in affiliates or word of mouth marketing that when you have built the kind of relationships with your community, and then they've built relationships with each other. If you think about people who've had an experience with your product or your service, now hopefully you've delivered such incredible value that they can't wait to tell their friends and family. And they're already connected with people who are in your immediate network. So it becomes like this word of mouth marketing what am I trying to say? This word of mouth marketing that is organic. It's not even something that you have to plan. So it absolutely helps you to create leverage, especially when you have a smaller audience. So when I think back to when we were planning the very first Powerhouse Women event, I remember, and some of you have heard me tell this story before, I was really overwhelmed at the thought of getting even 50 women together. And I remember the day that I sat down and I said, okay, I may not feel like I have 50 women in my life who will come to this event, but I bet I know 10 who could all invite 5 of their friends. And when I thought about that leverage, that, okay, I didn't have to know everyone, but I could enroll, say, 10 other people in my vision, and they could help to spread the word. That's the kind of leverage I believe that building a community as opposed to just an audience gives you. Okay, the third one, and this one might be my favorite because I don't know about you, but I tend to want to give and give and give. And I know you do too, that the reason you're here, the reason I bet you listen to this podcast is you have that heart to serve and you want to provide incredible value to the people in your audience. And if you think about it, adding a community component to whether it's a product or a service adds additional value, even if we go back to that belonging component. So you're adding more value by connecting the people within your audience with each other. So now they're getting support. They can talk to each other. They can build relationships with each other. And this is added value that does not require more of you. So I think about our 6-figure school program, for example. One of the things that I love most about that group is watching the way that they support each other. Whether it's that someone wants to start a podcast and then they're willing to connect with, or someone who already has a podcast is willing to connect with them and give them all their tips. When you create community as an intentional part of your offering, now that's something that people are getting more value from the program because they're in a community intentionally created to get them connecting with each other. They're able to share value with each other. They're able to support, encourage, uplift each other. And they're not just looking for all of that to come from me. So those of you who maybe are coaches or you are consultants, you're people who have a lot of people relying on you to be the one delivering value. I want you to think about how adding community intentionally into your business model could actually give more value that does not have to come just from you. Okay, so that was number 3. It adds more value, not more work. And then number 4 is you never run out of ideas of what to create next. So this can be done, of course, by having a really engaged audience that's willing to share their feedback with you. But I think it just goes a layer deeper when it's a community, because not only are they sharing with each other, they're sharing feedback with you. And you're not only, more likely to be able to come up with the ideas that you'll offer next, but they're more likely to be offers that actually convert. So I, as a business owner, I don't create the things that just I want to create. I create the things that our community wants to buy. And often it's not just one person stepping forward and saying, gosh, hey, I wish you offered this. It's usually a whole group of them. And usually they're talking with each other and almost like rallying together to say, hey, we are a part of this community and here, we want this. We would love if this was an option for us to work with you. So I think that number 4 reason why community is you never run out of ideas for what to create next. And you're more likely to create offers that actually convert because you're listening to and you're gathering feedback from that community. And then the 5th one, and this is really I think this is the reason if you saw nothing else in the other reasons I gave you, which hopefully you saw at least something that relates to your business. Reason number 5, why community is essential to growing your business in 2021 is that it's the most abundant way to think. So personally, I don't have all of the answers. I'm not the end all be all, but the value that I offer to the Powerhouse Women community comes from the people that I surround myself with, being able to refer others who are really great at the things that they offer and not being afraid that by highlighting someone else, it takes anything away from my value. So what it does is it actually takes the pressure off of me that I don't have to be great at everything. I know I have a community that I can offer that is full of every single answer that someone might need. So when you think about it, it's the abundant way to grow your business, to encourage community. Because as you develop this community, no matter what problem you're solving with your business, you know that you likely have any answer, or that answer might be 1 or 2 connections away from the people that are in your community. And that adds so much value, but it has to come from this abundant place of thinking instead of feeling like, okay, if I create this community environment and then people are sharing their contacts, will it take something away from me? And I don't think it does. I think it only adds more value. So let's just do a quick recap of the 5 reasons why. And like I said, you're going to want to tune in next week. We're going to go into the how, the tangible ways that you can be intentional about creating more community within your current business or your big idea. So the reasons why, number 1, the deepest need we have as humans is to belong. And you can provide that to people. It creates leverage is number 2. And almost turns into a word of mouth or affiliate type marketing system built right into your business. Number 3 is it can add more value to your current customers that doesn't have to require more time or energy from you. And number 4 is you never run out of ideas of what to create. In fact, you'll probably create offers that convert a lot higher because it's coming directly from your community's feedback. And then number 5 is it's the most abundant way to think. And like I said at the beginning of this, I do believe that the 2 things that businesses are going to need in 2021 in order to truly thrive, like have this be the most abundant year of your business, is you're going to need mentorship and you're going to need community. Both a community that you're plugged into and that's supporting you, but also you're going to need to create community within your current business model. And if you are looking for an intentional community to plug into, we are going to be in a few weeks opening up just a few spots in our Powerhouse Women mastermind. So this is the group of women that I work really closely with for almost the entire year, and we strategize about their business. We help them reimagine whenever it's necessary, like it really was in 2020. And we create this environment where not only do they see the strategy that's going to get them to their goals, but they also believe that they can do it. And that is invaluable, especially in a year that we know we're going to be faced with some more uncertainty. So here's what I'm going to have you do. If you know that you're ready to invest at a high level, you're ready to be held accountable, you really, really want that community who's going to support you and cheer you on, and that's going to give you the strategy to follow in order to make your business goals come true, probably beyond what you even think is possible, then I want you to text the word mastermind to this number. And that's going to let me know that you want to be first on the list before we go public with any of the spots that are open. This is going to give you first dibs on all the information as soon as we have it available. So the number to text the word mastermind to is 602-536-7829. And I always link this for you in the show notes if you are driving and you can't write that down right now. But I seriously cannot wait to see who these 15 women are, because seeing the growth that our 2020 mastermind had in the midst of the craziest year most of us have had in business, I know that now going forward into 2021, knowing that yes, we are probably facing more uncertainty, however, we know now to plan for it. I cannot wait to see what kind of growth this group of women has. So if you want to be on that list and you want first dibs, once we open some spots for the next mastermind, text the word mastermind to 602-536-7829. And regardless of whether you are plugging into our mastermind community or another group of women who are going to support you, just remember that community at its core comes down to our mission, our motto, what we say all the time, that in business and in life, you are just not meant to do this alone.